So now we are going to do part 2 of graphing using vertex form. Um, this is section 6, topic 6, and let's just get into the problems. Oftentimes, quadratic equations are not written in vertex form. We can always use the process of completing the square to rewrite the quadratic equation in vertex form. Alright, so remember, vertex form is very easy for us to find the vertex super fast. Okay, so I'm going to show you guys how to do vertex form from standard form. So write the equation f of x, or sorry, write the function f of x equals x squared minus 4x minus 2 in vertex form, then graph the function. So the first step says to write the function in a standard form. So the function is already in standard form, which is just f of x equals x squared minus 4x minus 2. Remember, standard form is when you have your ax squared plus bx plus c. That is standard form. Since it's already there, we can move on to the second step. Okay, group the quadratic and linear terms together. So basically what that is saying is you're going to take your x squared minus your 4x, and you're going to put that part in parentheses. You're going to leave a little area open, and we'll put a box there. We're going to close that, and we're going to put negative 2 on the outside. So all that I did was I took this whole area right here, put it in parentheses, and then I put a box next to it. I put the negative 2 on the outside. Okay, so that's it. Let's move on to next step. If a does not equal 1, factor a out of the equation. Currently a equals 1, so we don't have to factor anything out. What it means by factor out, it means if there was a number in front of the x, I would have to divide that number by both of these inside parentheses. Okay, but because I don't have to, let's move on. So complete the square. So remember how to complete the square. You take that negative 4, whatever number is in the middle, you divide it by 2, and you square that number. So negative 4 divided by 2 is 2. 2 times 2 is 4. Okay, so let's rewrite that parentheses part. So we're going to put x squared minus 4x. Inside of the box is going to be that negative 4 divided by 2, which is 2. 2 squared is 4, so it's going to be plus 4. Okay, I'm going to continue, put minus 2, and guess what goes on the other side? The same thing, the minus 4. I'm sorry. Because this is a plus, you got to do the opposite, which is the minus. Okay. All right, let's move on. Can I factor this out? Well, yeah. Remember, the parentheses is just this first part right here. So whatever this answer was, negative 4 divided by 2, that answer goes in here. Negative 4 divided by 2 was 2, negative 2. Okay, and this negative 2 minus 4, well, that's negative 6. Okay, and now we have vertex form. Okay, from this I can easily find my vertex. Okay, now the vertex is whatever number is in parentheses, and you're going to take the opposite of it. So the opposite of negative 2 is positive 2. Now whatever number is on the outside, so all I'm doing is I'm taking this number here, and I'm going to take this number here too. Okay, and remember that's our h and that's our k, and so the other number is negative 6, so I'm going to write negative 6 in my parentheses. Okay, let's do our y-intercept. Remember, y-intercept is actually really easy. It's whatever number is last here. So since that number is negative 2, my y-intercept is also going to be negative 2. Okay, now my zeros. My zeros are actually pretty easy. All that it's going to be is it's going to be the 2, which I got from the parentheses, plus radical 6, and then it's going to be 2 minus radical 6. Okay, how that works is you take your x minus 2 squared minus 6 equals 0. Remember, you got to add the 6 to both sides. X minus 2 squared equals 6. What's the inverse? Well, the inverse is radical 6, or radical and radical. That gives you x minus 2 equals radical 6. You add 2 to both sides. Then you have x equals 2 plus 6, radical 6, and 2 minus radical 6. Okay? If you don't remember that, the easiest thing to do is take this number, whatever the highlighted number is here, the 2, and you do the opposite of this. So it's 2 plus that number and 2 minus that number. Instead of doing all of this work, you can just take this number here and do 2 plus this number radical and 2 minus this number radical. Okay? If I put these in the calculator, I get 4.4 and I get negative 0.5. Okay? So all of these points right here are important because that's what I'm going to do on the next page. I'm going to graph these points. So it says graph the quadratic f of x equals x squared minus 4x minus 2 on the coordinate plane. So the first thing let's do, let's number this really quick, and we're just going to number them 1 through 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oops. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. And then I take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. We're going to go down negative 1, negative 2, negative 3, negative 4, negative 5, negative 6, negative 7, negative 8, negative 9, and negative 10. Go the same thing, negative 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Okay. The easiest point to put on this graph would be the y-intercept. And so that's when it would cross the y-axis, and it crosses the y-axis at negative 2. So crosses the y-axis at negative 2, that's this point right here. Okay, now let's continue. I can put my vertex at 2 and negative 6. So 2 is here on the x-axis, and negative 6 is down here. So 2 and negative 6 would be right there. Next thing to put is your zeros. Now our zeros are 4.4 and negative 0.5. So the zeros are the same thing as my x-intercepts, and that's going to be x-intercept of 4.4, which we can put around here, and a negative 0.5, which is about right here. Okay, once I have those 3 points, go ahead and graph it. And there we go. Okay. It should look more rounded. Mine looks more like a V, but that's okay. Alright, so that's how we graph. Let's move on to try it problem 2. The only thing we're going to do with the try it problem though is we are going to just find the vertex. That's what the main point of this lesson is to really identify what the vertex is in vertex form. So right here we're going to write 2x squared minus 12x plus 17, and we're going to try and change this into vertex form. So the first thing we got to do is we need to take away this 2. Okay, so that means we need to divide everything inside of these parentheses by 2. So I take my 2 and I put 2 divided by 2, well that's x squared. Okay, negative 12 divided by 2 is negative 6x. And then we're going to put a box here and close that parentheses like we did before. Okay, then I do plus 17. Okay, and then we're going to put another box here because we got to figure out what goes in these 2 boxes. Okay, now I need to find what goes in the boxes. So remember, you take your negative 6, whatever number is in the middle, divide it by 2, and square that number. So negative 6 divided by 2 is 3. 3 squared is going to be 9. And it's a positive, so I'm going to do plus 9. Okay, Now, what goes in this box is a little bit different. I have to take this box and multiply it by the number on the outside. So I take this number and I multiply it to the number on the outside. Okay, and that 9 times 2 is 18. But remember, you do the opposite. So this is a plus. I'm going to do a minus here. Okay, let's continue the work. So now I have 2, and now I have my parentheses. So remember, the parentheses is just going to be whatever this first number is, and that was a negative 3. Because negative 6 divided by 2 gave us negative 3. I close that parentheses, put a 2 at the top. 17 minus 18, well, that's a minus 1. Okay. From this, I can now find my vertex. The vertex is just going to be this and this. But remember, the vertex is the opposite of the first parentheses. So the vertex is going to be 3 and negative 1. Okay? And that's the main point of this lesson. All right?